Now, Surrey's 6 Liberal Democrat MPs are calling for a cap on the profit that private special education needs and their providers make. House of Commons library research commissioned by the Lib Dems has uncovered evidence of private companies that provide SEND schooling seeing annual profits increase by more than 20% this year. So they're urging the government to take action and introduce an 8% cap. Now, one of those is the MP for Guildford, Zöe Franklin, who joins me now. Good morning.
Morning, Peter.
Thanks for coming in. Why are you opposed to these private SEND providers making so much profit?
Because they're making profit off the back of the lives of young people who need specialist provision. And yeah, I think I and my colleagues and most of the public would feel that is inappropriate.
And give us an idea, though, therefore, how much profit we're talking here.
Yeah, so a particular provider who operates in Surrey, they had an operating profit this coming year, 44.6 million, so that's 21%. That is an increase from about 35 million last year. So we're talking considerable profits.
And who are we actually talking about there?
We're actually talking about Witherslack Group.
Okay. But I mean, as far as I know, all the UK profits for Witherslack are reinvested in the development of new schools and also actually additional SEN resources. So
we would question that and happy to sort of take that feedback. But what we're saying is across the board with these operators, there's a real question mark over whether all of the profit is going back in and whether the kind of the level of sort of 20% profit that we're seeing is appropriate. So we're suggesting a cap of 8%, and that is because the Office of National Statistics has done some of the work to look at these kind of private providers and gone, the average operating profit is 8.8%. So an 8% cap would be appropriate. And we're already seeing in the Children and Wellbeing Bill, the government is going to cap the profits on social care providers for young people. So why would you not also do that within the private provision for education as well?
So just outline actually then what you see as the alternative.
So we need a combo. We need, obviously there's a situation where we have lots of young people who need specialist provision. We don't have enough in the state sector. So the first point would be we need to be investing more from local authorities into building specialist provision. And we're seeing some, but we're not there yet. We also then do need the private provision available, but not with the kind of profits we are seeing. That the profits shouldn't be lining the pockets of shareholders. It should be going back, reinvested into the schools. And we feel there should be this 8% cap, again, to make it consistent with what we're expecting to come through for social care providers.
It'd be fair to say, though, that surely building more new SEND schools could be actually more expensive than actually what's going on with the current arrangement.
So I think there's that balance to be had, which is that you do need state provision because ultimately the figures suggest that for many children who need specialist provision, it's actually about half the price to put them into a local authority setting that it is to put them into a private setting. And local authorities' finances are in a terrible state. We know that the cost of providing special educational needs is continuing to go up. So actually the most effective use of public finances is actually to invest in specialist provision run by local authorities to provide for the young people across our county.
Quite interested why you've gone for this 8% cap and therefore what are you actually saying to the government to do?
Yeah, so we're asking the government to be consistent. So as I've shared a couple of seconds ago, they are intending to put a cap on social care providers for young people, and that's going to be coming in the Children and Wellbeing Bill. We're asking for similar to happen to private providers for special educational needs. We feel this is consistent. The cap for social care providers hasn't been decided yet, but the ONS have done this work. They have looked at what the operating profit margin for all non-profit entities typically is, and that's 8.8%. So we've said, okay, 8%, that is a realistic figure that strikes the balance between enabling profits to be made, but also ensuring that these private companies are not profiting off the back of young people who need specialist support.
We talked about you being part of the Surrey Lib Dem MP's team on this. Is this also something that is now, a national approach. So it's also with colleagues up and down the country, presumably.
It is, yeah. And we're particularly speaking out because we know that there are particular challenges here in Surrey, and I would argue that Surrey's had a problem when it comes to provision for special educational needs for more than 10 years. I would say nearly 30. One of my family members has a special educational need, and we fought to get them the right provision back then. I would suggest that we haven't really seen the improvement we need. So we're particularly speaking out in Surrey because we hear these terrible stories on a daily basis in our inboxes. Is
there any specific reason for the timing of this particular initiative that you're taking as far as the Liberal Democrats are concerned? I mean, we're deep in recess now. No one's talking about it in Parliament, for example. Where do you expect this to go?
So the reason we're talking about it now is because just before we broke up for recess, the government started to have the conversations around the changes they are considering making to special educational needs provision. So it felt right to make sure that the space of the summer recess wasn't lost, that we actually do the work, we put out those ideas to government. We can still contact government ministers during recess. We can get the conversation going with our residents. And I think it's really important because we're hearing from parents of special educational needs children. They are really worried about what the government is potentially floating in terms of changes.
The government seems to press on. I know we could get into politics here around U-turns and things like that, but for the most part, a government which is only just over a year old seems to sort of press on with things. How successful do you think you're going to be in your particular suggestions?
So I think we've seen over the last year, you're quite right, we've seen quite a few pressing on, but we've also seen some changes of direction. We've managed to get outcomes on things ranging from court transcripts through to changes in legislation related to domestic and sexual abuse. So we know the government does listen to the Liberal Democrats. They recognise that we are a sensible voice who talk to our residents and then talk to the government. So we think that there is a real chance of being able to get our residents' voices amplified to the government and make sure that what changes do happen for special educational needs are the right ones that benefit the young people that they're supposed to.
Zöe Franklin, MP for Guildford, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Pleasure.